So what do you do when you have had a session with somebody and the results are not lasting? So maybe in the session it's just, oh, it's wonderful, whatever, it's life-changing, and they are elevated and marvelous, and then 2 days later they send you a message to say it hasn't worked. So what happens there? So there are several things that can happen. One is you have been working on the symptom, so you have been trying to solve the symptom rather than solve the underlying issue. And if that happens, obviously that can come back, the problem can, but they could still feel a relief during the session, and sometimes could be a really cathartic, marvelous thing, and not last. Yeah, it's like going to a wonderful weekend place, health and wellness place, and all of a sudden you feel so elevated because of the it rubs off the excitement, and then you go home and you still have to go to work, you still have to deal with your coworker, you still have to do whatever you have to do, and then you come back to normal life, and all of a sudden nothing has changed. You're just poorer because you had to pay however much money for that event. So yes, we can actually get into a mental state that we think, oh yes, everything has changed, and then it turns out that it hasn't. And yes, one of the reasons is often that you haven't quite got to the root cause. The second thing that might be is that maybe you sold a package of 6 sessions, let's say, or 6 months with you. It's a very strange thing, but when people are sold longer things, it will take them longer to get there. It just somehow does. So, which is why something that you can solve in one session, if you are in a single-minded session way of looking at things and have a business model based on this. By the way, even then, the important thing is that you say, I help you solve the issue, right? So this is not about, I'll give you one session. If it works, it works. If it doesn't. No, it is based on results. So when you're selling it and when you're delivering, then you are delivering results rather than sessions, which is why you can command higher prices. So, which at the beginning might actually take longer, might take not longer than has, but it might not be just one session, it might be several. But as you're getting better at it, it will be reduced to however many sessions, or maybe one session. So basically, if you are selling a package, people will expect things to take that longer, and it usually does. Yeah, so that might be why it hasn't worked. But then they might actually not come back to you and say it hasn't worked because they are expecting that it will only work by the end of the month or whenever it finishes. Another thing that is very common is that you haven't tested the results. So what is testing basically? Very few schools actually talk about testing. There might be more now, but it's uh, it's still something that a lot of therapists don't do. So what they were taught is you have done it and goodbye. And then maybe check in with them to see how are you doing, how has it worked, whatever. Which, by the way, is not always a good thing because you might instill doubt in them. Yeah, so they might actually have got the results. But what happens when they haven't? So if you don't test them in the session, one of the problems is that life is tough. Yeah, so it will get tested things, the results will get tested in real life. And most problems, even though we talk about one core issue, which by the way, in ACH, you don't always know what it is, and you cannot, unless you can test something, you can't actually be certain that that was it. What you can be certain of is that if the client has resolved it, yes, it has resolved at the core issue, but sometimes they don't even remember it. So don't be stuck on, I have to understand it, because it can backfire, because it can be an expectation that is not necessarily realistic. So, but getting back to testing, what you do, or what we do in ACH is so they feel better. Yeah, so they say, ah, it's no longer a problem. But what if? So I start with the scenarios. I start with saying, but what if this and this? Because in the strategy call, I will have asked them, let's say with binge eating. Yeah, so they might have said that they binge eat when they feel sad. So what will happen next time you're feeling sad? Yeah. So, or they binge eat when they watch a certain movie. So what happens? So you're sitting down and you're watching this movie, or yeah, then what is happening? So will you be, and you can actually make the tests harder and harder, kind of like, really, are you sure about that? Because you want to find any issues that are connected but might not have come up to this point in the session. Because once there is a hesitation, there is something that shows that there is something there, then you can actually say, wait a minute, so you kind of start again. It's like giving a mini session within the maxi session. So you say, so what's the problem with that? And then you start again with the hypnotic interview. So basically the questioning and looking for the unconscious moments. So that's it.